I controlled my neighbor's TV for 6 months from my phone and made him sell the TV. Now I regret it. Last year I had an asshole neighbor who always would be playing loud music, be rude to everyone, and not pick up his dog's shit when they would go for walks right outside the building. The dog had a barking problem too, but I'm not hating on the dog. One evening I had problems with the internet, and for shits and giggles I tried to connect to my neighbor's Wi-Fi with a password. 13567889. Guess what? It connected. The same evening at 11 p.m. I started hearing shitty drum and bass from my neighbor's apartment as usual, and all of a sudden I see a pop-up appear on my phone. I have a Samsung phone, and when you open the YouTube app on any Samsung Smart TV, a pop-up appears on your phone with the TV-casted YouTube app, as long as both devices are on the same Wi-Fi network. You have full control of TV YouTube on your phone. Pause, play, volume, skip video if it's a playlist, choose a different recommended video, etc. At first, I did not realize what the pop-up was and just thought, what the fuck is this? I thought my phone was glitching. There were options, pause, forward, volume, etc. I pressed pause, and all of a sudden there was silence in my neighbor's apartment. After a few seconds, the music started again, and I saw that the play button turned to a pause button again on my phone. I pressed pause again, music disappeared, and behind the wall I hear, what the fuck? I cannot describe the feelings I had in that moment. My facial expression must have looked like that Chris Pratt meme from Parks and Rec. Oh, snap! The music started playing again and again. I pressed pause. Now I'm hearing grunts and profanities from my neighbor. I could feel his confusion and anger through the walls. I had never felt so much power in my life. God, universe, or whatever you want to call it, had blessed me with a gift. I kept fucking with him that evening. Pause, skip video, turn the volume up and down. He tried turning TV on and off, logging in and out of his YouTube account, and nothing seemed to work. He was so pissed off. It was the first time I was happy that the walls in our building are so thin. This went on for days. Turned out he mostly used YouTube on his TV to watch videos, podcasts, even to play music. He was going completely insane. He did switch to Spotify, I'm guessing, for music, but still. Every time he wanted to watch a podcast or some videos, I was there, ready and waiting for him to feel my wrath. Throughout the next few months, I heard him call customer support multiple times, making him reset the TV to factory settings, logging in and out of YouTube app countless of times. Sometimes I would stop messing with it for a couple of days to give him false hope. Then all of a sudden, when I hear him watching some comedy podcast that he is enjoying, I would start playing another video for him. He would literally scream. Long story short, after 6 months of this, as I'm walking down the hallway one day, I saw a random couple carrying the TV out of his apartment and him holding cash in his hand. I drove him to selling the TV and buying a new one. In that moment, I felt bad and started to regret my actions. Felt kind of childish about the fact that I'd been doing this for 6 months. My mom took $50 from me, so I lied and told her I didn't know where her $200 went. Me and my mother have an up and down relationship. Sometimes we'll be best friends. The next she'll wish I was never born. A burden to her. It was my payday. As soon as I got home, she demanded $50 from me. I had just given her $150 2 days prior. I knew what it was for. She wanted to gamble, or she was giving it to my stepdad so he could gamble. No matter how many times I told her no, she would get louder and louder and threaten me more. So I just gave in. She wasn't going to pay me back. She never does. But what could I do? A few days later, me and her were talking in her room. When she got up to leave, I saw it. $200 dropping from her wallet. When I saw it, I didn't know what got a hold of me. This felt like my way of getting revenge, being able to pay myself back kinda. I quickly pocketed the money and went on my way. A few hours later, my mom called in a frantic asking if I'd seen $200 around the house. I told her no straight to her face and hung up. To this day, she still doesn't know. I hated stealing and lying to my mother's face, but I also still feel it was deserved after years of her taking from me. I've been living with this guilt for about a month now. and it eats me alive every day and keeps me awake at night. I'm sorry, Mom. I threw a drink through a lady's open car window. I was around 19 and leaving my work. This woman was driving recklessly, weaving off of the road to get around people, and then stopping in front of them and proceeded to run me off of the road. When I got back on the road behind her, she kept slowing down and acting like she was moving off of the road, so that when I'd try to pass her, she would try to hit my car. The one lane then split into two, a straight lane and a right-hand turning lane. I decided to go straight. No one was behind me, and the person in front of her was taking forever to turn. I'm assuming they didn't realize the light was green. My windows were down, and so was her driver's side window. I chucked my fountain drink from my lunch break through her window and went straight. For context, I'm usually a very patient person, to the point where someone could be a straight-up asshole to me, and I'll think to myself, are they okay? They must be having a bad day, and I'll let it go. But something in me that day just was not having it. I know what I did was wrong, believe me. As I was driving off, I immediately thought, maybe that wasn't the right thing to do. I'm not saying what she did was right either. I mean, it's not like she was weaving around people because of an emergency if she had time to sit there and fuck with people, right? I don't know. It's been something I've been going back and forth on in my mind whenever I happen to think about it. I read my roommate's diary all year and then stole it when we moved out. In 2019, I got into college and started my first year with a random roommate. She was really rude to me despite trying to be a good roommate, and I would always clean the room, take out the trash, etc. But she was always an asshole. I wanted to know why, so I dug around like the third week and I found her diary. I started taking photos of it when she was in class, and I would read it. I would make sure to put it back exactly like it was, and I never used it in our arguments. I kept that shit hidden from everyone, even my friends. I did this consistently every other day for 2 semesters, and it was so addicting, I couldn't stop. I learned so much about her and how she's mentally unwell, but she hides it really well. I couldn't help it. It was just so intriguing. Then COVID hit, and I just wanted a keepsake, and when she was moving her shit out, I was about to get in my car and leave. And I went in and made the intrusive decision to steal it, and I put it in my pants and my shirt over it and left. She never texted me about it or anything, never posted about it, nothing, absolute silence. She had quite a few people who didn't like her and her friends, and BF were really weird too. I legitimately think she doesn't know it's me. She had such a huge falling out with one of her friends, and I really think it was because she thought she stole it. I know this is absolutely terrible, but I still have the book. It's been so long. It's just at my parents' house. I know this was absolutely terrible for me to do, and that's why it's my confession. I have dreams of her finding out and us arguing to this day. Man, was her shit fucked up though. I'll never be able to see into someone's life like that again in real-time updates. I traumatized a kid by locking him in a room with me and acting possessed. This happened like 6 months ago. I was 17 and he was probably 9 or 10. I was at my uncle's house who was hosting a party for his friends. Because I didn't really know anyone, I was talking to that boy because he was alone too, and I was bored as hell. As we were talking, I realized that this kid was so obnoxious and privileged. He was boasting to me about having a better phone than me, and having a huge room in his house. He also made a snarky remark about my dress being super ugly, and that I would cause boys to run the other way if they saw me. I know he was joking saying that, but sometimes jokes just piss you off when they come from an entitled kid. Soon the conversation went about horror movies and getting possessed. That's when I had the genius idea of saying the conversation would be more fun in a dark room. He excitedly agreed too, so I took him to the room I was sleeping in at my uncle's house. That's when I locked the dark room with us in it and started acting possessed. I turned the flash on my phone on and started making all these horrific sounds to get him scared. It definitely worked because he got really scared and crying. That's when I cut it short, because I didn't want his parents hearing him and getting mad at me. But I'm NGL. Seeing an entitled kid cry felt so good in the moment. In my defense, I did console him after and hugged him until he stopped crying and felt better, and I apologized. But we didn't talk for the rest of the day. I do feel bad now because that kid was only 10 and was immature. I certainly wasn't the best 10-year-old either. Sometimes, I wonder if he still remembers me as the possessed girl who scared him.